My business partner sold our company out from under me. The contract had a poison pill. The rain in Seattle was a constant, gentle collaborator in our work. It pattered against the skylights of the converted warehouse that housed Ether Analytics, a sound that had become the white noise of our ambition. For 7 years, that sound was the soundtrack to a partnership I believed was built on granite. I, Leo Thorne, was the architect. My partner, Julian Vance, was the diplomat. Together, we built a formidable niche. We didn't just crunch data for Fortune 500 companies, we built them bespoke, predictive intelligence engines, digital crystal balls that forecasted supply chain disruptions, consumer sentiment shifts, and market tremors with eerie accuracy. The division was natural. I lived in the sublime, often frustrating realm of algorithms and machine learning models. Julian translated my arcane digital prophecies into the language of boardrooms, securing contracts with a blend of charm, slick presentations, and an uncanny ability to promise the moon and make clients believe we had a direct line to NASA. We were 50/50 partners, a perfect alloy. The company was our shared child. Our partnership agreement, drafted in a haze of optimistic exhaustion in year 2, was my doing. My father, a lawyer who'd seen his own small engineering firm torn apart by a faithless partner, had insisted. Trust is the foundation, Leo, he'd said, but the contract is the load-bearing wall. Make it strong. Assume nothing. I'd inserted a clause, Section 12.3, that Julian had laughed off as my paranoid masterpiece. The mutually assured destruction clause, he dubbed it. Officially, it was the unilateral transfer restriction. It stated, in dense legal prose, asterisk in the event that either partner seeks to transfer, sell, or otherwise dispose of their equity interest, or instigates a sale of substantially all company assets, without the express written consent of the other partner, such action shall trigger an immediate and irreversible licensing freeze on all proprietary algorithms, data models, and core intellectual property developed by the company. Said IP shall revert to a state of non-commercial, non-transferable joint ownership, rendering it inoperable for any acquiring entity. Furthermore, all client contracts containing non-assignment clauses shall be deemed null and void in the event of an unauthorized transfer of control. In essence, try to sell the company out from under me, and I could flip a switch that turned our crown jewels, the algorithms I'd spent years perfecting, into worthless, locked code. The clients, bound to us personally, would walk. The company would be a shell. A poison pill, designed to make any hostile takeover or secret sale an act of corporate suicide. Julian had signed it with a theatrical eye roll. Leo, my brother, we're in this together. This is for the divorce lawyers of the world. Not us. I believed him. For years, I saw the clause as a relic, a testament to my father's cynicism, not a necessary safeguard. Our success was mutual. Our trust, I thought, was absolute. The first tremor was subtle. Julian started taking more strategy lunches with financiers, not clients. He began talking in a new vocabulary: exit strategies, liquidity events, maximizing shareholder value. We had one shareholder, us. We're building something lasting, Julian, I'd argue over late-night pizzas in the office. Why talk about an exit? We're just getting started. We're leaving money on the table, Leo, he'd counter, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. We built a brilliant engine. Maybe it's time to let a bigger car company put it in their chassis. We take the capital, you can start a research lab, I can explore new ventures. The diversus we began to surface. He grew impatient with my meticulous, iterative approach to the core models, pushing for faster, flashier productization that I warned would compromise integrity. The catalyst was the Viper Corp inquiry. A massive, multinational conglomerate known for acquiring and gutting innovative tech firms. They'd expressed interest in exploring synergies. I was vehemently opposed. They're vampires, Julian, They'll buy us, fire the team, strip the IP, and kill the soul of what we built. They're offering us a seat at the adult table, he'd snapped, a new edge in his voice. You're content to be a brilliant tinkerer in a warehouse forever. I have a vision for scale you can't even comprehend. We fought, bitterly. The fracture was now a chasm. After that, Julian became distant, spending days working from home. The office atmosphere grew cold. Our head of client relations, Sarah, loyal to the work, not the politics, pulled me aside one evening. Leo, I don't want to stir the pot, but Julian's been having very closed-door Zoom calls. I saw a calendar invite. The subject line said Viper, due diligence prep. He didn't CC you. The words landed like a physical blow. Due diligence. That wasn't an exploratory coffee. That was the final stage before a sale. I confronted him over the phone, my voice shaking. Are you negotiating with Viper Corp? A long pause. Then, the smooth, diplomatic Julian was gone, replaced by a cold, transactional stranger. It's a done deal, Leo. They're acquiring 100% of Ether. The offer is 9 figures. Life-changing money. You can't. The agreement. My consent. Your consent is implied by your best interest, he cut in, his tone glacial. The paperwork is being finalized. You'll get a very generous settlement for your shares. A severance. Sign the non-disparagement, and you walk away a rich man. Fight it, and you'll be dragged through litigation you can't afford until you have nothing left. Be smart. This is the win. He'd planned it perfectly. Isolate me, negotiate in secret, present me with a fait accompli backed by Viper's legal army. He thought I'd cave, take the money, and slink away, too lost in my code to fight a real war. But he'd forgotten about the poison pill. Or, more likely, he'd never believed the paranoid clause would ever be more than words on paper. The betrayal was an ice bath, shocking me into a hyperclarity. Rage was a luxury. Grief would come later. Now, there was only the mechanism. I went to the office at 3 a.m., my access still active. I went straight to the server core. I didn't delete a single line of code. That would be destruction, and illegal. Instead, I enacted the clause. I created a cryptographic lock on the primary algorithm repository, a digital version of the licensing freeze. The key was a complex passphrase known only to me, derived from a formula that didn't exist on any server. I then drafted letters to our top 5 clients, whose contracts I knew had ironclad non-assignment clauses. The letters were simple notifications. Please be advised that pursuant to Section 4.2 of our Master Services Agreement, any change of control at Ether Analytics without written consent from both founding partners constitutes a material breach, releasing you from all obligations. I saved them as drafts, ready to send. I was not destroying the company. I was activating its immune system against the cancer of Julian's betrayal. He wanted to sell the body. I was making the soul untransferable. Then, I waited. The due diligence process for a 9-figure acquisition is a forensic autopsy conducted by an army of mercenaries. Viper Corp's teams descended on our warehouse accountants, lawyers, IT forensic specialists. They were sharks in gray suits, smelling blood in the water. I was cordial, cooperative, and utterly silent. I answered technical questions about the algorithms with precise, useless generality. I showed them the architecture, but not the beating heart. Julian, glowing with premature triumph, shadowed them, playing the visionary founder. The crisis hit in week 3 of Diligence. The lead Viper Corp lawyer, a woman with the demeanor of a stainless steel scalpel named Ms. Edwole, requested the complete, unobstructed source code repository and development history for the Ether Core prediction engine. I provided access. Their senior engineer tried to compile it. The system prompted for a decryption key. What is this? Ms. Edwall asked, turning to Julian and me in our conference room, now a war room. A security protocol, I said calmly. Provide the key. I shook my head. I can't. The intellectual property licensing agreement, as per our internal partnership contract, restricts unilateral transfer. The key is held in escrow, releasable only upon joint consent for a bona fide sale. I slid a copy of our partnership agreement across the table, section 12.3 highlighted in neon yellow. Julian's face went from confused to pale to a blotchy red. Leo, this is insane. Give them the key. This is the deal. The deal, I said, meeting his furious gaze, requires my consent. You don't have it. Therefore, the IP is in a protected state, as per the contract you signed. The company you are trying to sell, Julian, currently has no transferable core asset. You're selling a brand name and some office furniture. Ms. Adwall's eyes scanned the clause. Her expression, normally unreadable, flickered with something amusement. Disdain. This is a poison pill, she stated flatly. It's a partnership protection clause, I corrected. She turned to Julian. You represented that you had clear title and unfettered ownership of all IP. This clause makes the primary asset non-transferable. It renders the company commercially worthless to Viper Corp. Our offer is hereby withdrawn, effective immediately. She stood, her team following like a flock of grim raptors. We will be seeking reimbursement for our due diligence costs from Ether Analytics. This was a profound misrepresentation. They filed out, leaving a silence so profound I could hear the hum of the servers in the next room, the very machines now holding their priceless, locked secrets. Julian stared at the door, then at me, his whole world, the life-changing money, the victory, the future he'd sold his soul for, evaporating in the legal chill left by Ms. Adwall. You ruined me, he whispered, the sound raw. No, I said, gathering my things. You tried to steal from me. I just remembered where I'd hidden the safe. I placed a single sheet of paper in front of him. It was a buyout offer from me to him. For his 50% of Ether Analytics. The price was $1. Go to hell, he spat. Suit yourself. But know this, the clients are next. The letters are drafted. Without the IP, and with the client contracts voided, Ether is a negative value entity. Debts, leases, payroll. You'll be personally liable for the Viper Diligence bill. That offer, I nodded at the dollar, is more than the company will be worth by this time next week. And it's the only one you'll get from me. I left him there, in the conference room of the company we'd built, now a gilded prison of his own making. The poison pill had worked. It hadn't destroyed the company, it had made it impossible for him to steal. The following weeks were a study in collapse and creation. True to my word, I notified our key clients. They were furious not at me, but at the instability. Their trust was with Ether, not Viper Corp. They began to leave, but not to the void. Sarah, our head of client relations, left with 3 major accounts, telling me, the work is yours, Leo. The vision is yours. We follow the vision. I didn't immediately start a new company. I let the chaos settle. I let Julian drown in the consequences. The Viper Corp legal bill arrived, $850,000 for their wasted diligence. The landlord wanted guarantees. The staff, sensing the doom, jumped ship, many reaching out to me personally. Julian, desperate, tried to find another buyer, but the story of the poison pill and the abandoned Viper deal was a stain no amount of charm could bleach. He tried to sue me, claiming I was sabotaging the company. My lawyer, a serene giant named Ben, simply presented Section 12.3 and my partner's own secret sale documents. The judge was not amused. 6 months after the Viper deal imploded, Julian was broken. Ether Analytics was a zombie company, alive on paper, dead in spirit, bleeding cash. He called me, his voice stripped of all pretension, hollow with defeat. "The offer," he said. "Is it still open?" "The dollar?" "It is. But I'll need your signed shares and a full release of all claims. And you walk away from the Ether name forever. You've won, Leo. Just make it stop." We met at a neutral lot office. He signed the papers, transferring his shares for $1. He looked like a ghost. I almost felt pity, but then I remembered the cold finality in his voice when he'd said, "It's a done deal." With sole ownership, I dissolved Ether Analytics. I paid off its final debts, using a fraction of my own savings, which was a bitter but necessary pill. Then, I founded Kairos Intelligence. Kairos, the ancient Greek word for the opportune, critical moment. The right time. I hired back the best of the old team, starting with Sarah. I unlocked my algorithms. We reached out to the former clients, not with a sales pitch, but with an apology and a promise, the original vision, purified of betrayal, more focused than ever. Almost all of them came back. They believed in the magic in the machine, and they knew I was its sole wizard. Kairos grew, not with Viper's bluster, but with quiet, relentless efficacy. We were leaner, wiser, bonded by the fire we'd passed through. Within 2 years, we were more profitable than Ether had ever been, with a culture of transparency I embedded in our new operating agreement. I heard about Julian through the grapevine. He'd taken a mid-level business development job at a second-rate tech firm, a cog in a machine. The spark, the silver-tongued charisma, was gone, extinguished by the humiliation and the financial scar tissue. He was a prisoner of mediocre corporate life, a fate I knew he feared more than poverty. One rainy Seattle afternoon, much like the ones we'd started in, I was walking to a lunch meeting with a longtime client who had stayed with us through the transition. I passed a bus stop and saw him. Julian was waiting for the downtown bus, collar turned up against the damp, staring at his phone. He looked older, ordinary. He didn't see me. My client, an old-school shipbuilding magnate named Mr. Henderson, followed my gaze. "Isn't that your former?" "It is," I said. "He looks like he's waiting for a train that's already left the station," Henderson mused. "A damn shame. He had the gift of gab. He had the gift of the deal," I corrected softly. "But some things shouldn't be deal. Some things are foundation." Henderson grunted in approval. "Foundations last. Deals expire. Let's go. I want to hear about this new maritime logistics model. My competitors are still using crystal balls from the Stone Age." As we walked away, I didn't look back. The poison pill had done its job. It hadn't been an instrument of revenge, but of preservation. It had saved the soul of the work from a hostile takeover, and in doing so, it had revealed the true nature of the partnership. Julian had seen a company as an asset to be liquidated. I had seen it as a living entity, built on trust. The clause was the immune system rejecting the foreign agent. Now, the entity was healthy, thriving under a new name, its foundations the integrity of the code, the loyalty of the clients, the truth of the partnership finally secure. The rain continued to fall, not as a dirge for what was lost, but as the nourishing element for what had been saved, and what was now, finally, growing true.